es el siguiente.
Un enemigo.
Spike colocada. Mi definitiva está lista.
Objetivo a la vista.
Queda un enemigo.
Objetivo a la vista en A.
No merecen ni que me esfuerce.
The match begins with both teams entering the buy phase, carefully preparing for another important round. Weapons are purchased, abilities are checked one last time, and everyone spreads across the map, ready for the action to begin. As the timer reaches 0, the silence quickly disappears, replaced by footsteps, utility, and the constant pressure that every Valorant player knows so well. The team starts moving cautiously, taking control of the first areas of the map while checking every possible angle. Nobody wants to give away the first elimination. Every corner could hide an opponent waiting for the perfect opportunity to strike. With the rifle ready, the player slowly advances toward the objective, clearing each position one by one. Utility begins flying across the map as smokes block important sightlines, forcing defenders to reposition and making it difficult for them to gather information. The first enemy suddenly appears. Without hesitating, the crosshair is already perfectly placed. A short burst of accurate shots connects, and the opening duel is won. Instead of celebrating the kill, the player immediately changes position, knowing another enemy could be waiting for an easy trade. The team keeps moving forward, taking advantage of the numbers advantage. Communication becomes essential as teammates call out enemy positions, while abilities continue denying vision across the bomb site. With defenders falling back, the spike is finally planted. Now the pressure shifts completely. The attackers no longer need to push aggressively. Instead, they spread out, covering every entrance and forcing the defenders to come to them. The retake begins almost immediately. Footsteps echo through the corridors as utility fills the site. Smokes, flashes, and abilities cover every possible angle, making visibility almost impossible. An enemy tries to push through the smoke, hoping to catch someone off guard. Instead, they walk directly into the player's crosshair. Another clean elimination gives the team even more control of the round. Only a few defenders remain alive, but nobody becomes overconfident. The player patiently watches the same angle, refusing to give away an unnecessary duel. Every second that passes works in favor of the attacking side. Another opponent peeks from behind cover. The fight lasts only a fraction of a second before another accurate burst sends the enemy back to the spectator screen. The situation quickly turns into a numbers advantage, and the remaining defender has almost no room left to recover the round. The player rotates slightly, expecting a flank from another direction. Every movement is calculated, every peek is slow and controlled. Suddenly, another enemy appears from the side, attempting a desperate play. The player reacts instantly, adjusting the aim just enough to secure yet another elimination before repositioning once again. The spike timer continues counting down while the defenders become increasingly desperate. Only one enemy remains alive. The tension rises across the map. Nobody knows exactly where the final opponent is hiding. Instead of chasing the last kill, the player keeps holding the strongest possible position, forcing the defender to make the first move. A few careful footsteps can be heard getting closer. The final opponent swings the corner. The crosshair barely needs to move. Another precise burst. Round secured. Without wasting any time, the next buy phase begins. Both teams immediately start preparing for another battle, determined to recover momentum. Weapons are upgraded, credits are spent wisely, and the next round starts with both teams once again fighting for early map control. This time, however, the defenders seem much more aggressive. They push forward earlier than expected, trying to catch the attackers before they can execute their strategy. The player slows the pace, listening carefully for footsteps while teammates gather information across different parts of the map. The first signs of enemy utility reveal exactly where the defenders are holding. Now the real fight is about to begin. The attackers decide to slow the round down, refusing to rush into the defenders' setup. Instead, they spread across the map, carefully collecting information while waiting for the enemy team to reveal their positions. Every sound becomes valuable, from footsteps echoing through the corridors to abilities being used somewhere in the distance. A smoke appears ahead, cutting off an important line of sight. Rather than pushing through blindly, the player waits patiently, watching for any movement that might give away an enemy position. After a few seconds, the opportunity finally arrives. An opponent swings confidently, expecting an easy duel, but the crosshair is already perfectly prepared. A quick burst drops the defender instantly, giving the attackers another opening to work with. The elimination forces the remaining defenders to rotate, and that creates enough space for the attacking team to begin taking control of the site. Utility is thrown into every dangerous corner, denying vision and forcing enemies to back away. As everyone pushes forward together, the spike is planted once again. Now the real challenge begins. The defenders know exactly where the attackers are positioned, and they waste no time beginning their retake. Multiple abilities fill the site almost simultaneously, making visibility extremely limited. The player immediately falls back into a safer position, refusing to overpeak. Instead of chasing kills, the focus shifts towards surviving long enough for the spike timer to become the real enemy. One defender appears through the smoke. A controlled spray. Another eliminations. Without stopping, the player immediately repositions once again, making sure the remaining enemies can't predict the next angle. The kill feed shows the attackers extending their advantage, but the round is far from over. Another defender pushes aggressively from a different entrance, hoping to catch someone distracted. The player hears the footsteps before seeing the enemy. The crosshair snaps into position. Another clean headshots. Only a handful of players remain alive. The site becomes strangely quiet for just a moment. Everyone knows the last few seconds will decide everything. The final defender hesitates before committing to the retake. That hesitation is enough. As soon as they appear, accurate shots end the round, giving the attacking team another important victory. Momentum is clearly beginning to shift. Back in the buy phase, both teams quickly prepare for another battle. This time, the defenders decide to change their strategy completely. Instead of waiting passively, they begin contesting map control much earlier. The player notices utility flying across the entrance almost immediately, signaling that this round will be much more aggressive. Rather than forcing the issue, the team slows the pace once again. Information becomes more valuable than speed. Every corner is cleared carefully. Every possible flank is considered. Finally, contact is made. Gunfire erupts across the map as both teams begin exchanging eliminations. The player catches an opponent attempting to rotate through an exposed area and secures another important frag before quickly retreating to avoid return fire. Health is beginning to drop. Pressure continues to rise. The spike still hasn't been planted. Time is becoming a serious problem. Realizing they can't wait any longer, the team commits toward the bomb site together. Abilities explode across every entrance. Smokes block vision. Flashes force defenders away from their angles. The spike is finally planted with only seconds to spare. Now every surviving player knows there's no turning back. The defenders launch one final desperate retake. Explosions fill the site. Bullets fly in every direction. The player wins the opening duel, immediately turning to cover another entrance before a second opponent appears. Another elimination. The final enemy tries to clutch the impossible situation. Instead